Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
Hey, Facebook family. Kristi, Saul, coming at you live after church, the co-founder of the Post+Institute, the leader of the Parenting Inner Circle, and the head parenting coach, coming at you. It's the last Sunday of the first month of the year. So I found myself thinking about goals that I've set, thinking about how we started off this new year full of excitement, like we were starting a new ball game, right? We're gonna come at this hard. We're gonna keep our goals, and then life hits us, right? Life comes and does what life does, and it can throw us off our track. We can get back into our old habits. Boy, so much of what we do and how we relate to one another, those blueprints, we all have them. We all have our own parenting themes, things that we were handed, scripts we were handed from our own families, and we just, sometimes it's hard to break free of those. And so today at church, the word justification came up. How we justify what it is that we do, how we make excuses. Just if occasion. Just if this person would do that, then I wouldn't behave this way. Or just if they would do what I tell them to do when I tell them, then everything would be better. Then I wouldn't lose my cool. Then I wouldn't blow my stress all over my kids. Then I wouldn't be yelling and screaming at them or thinking I needed to ground them or punish them. And if I just punish them enough and teach them enough lessons, eventually they'll get it. As opposed to stepping back, remembering what we're learning in this process about relationship. The power of relationship, the power of building a collaboration. That is not anything that most of us grew up with. We grew up in a top-down parenting mentality. Many of us grew up in a situation of children are to be seen and not heard. Many of us grew up with performance-based relationships, where if we wanted to have our parents' love and affection, it was all based on performance. And that's just not relationship. That's not really love. That's a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress about meeting expectations that are probably just, things that come from the world, expectations from the world, trying to help our kids fit into that box. And the thing is that for many of our kids, the more anxious we get, the more stressed out we get, then the more anxious and stressed out they get. The more it affects their behavior negatively. The very thing that we are trying to manage, trying to control, gets worse because we get so angry, frustrated, and anxious about it. So, how are we doing on those goals? What kind of goals have you guys set? I know when I've been in real difficult positions, I needed to step back and make very simple goals. So today at church, my pastor was talking about allowing God's light to shine from us, that the reign of God in our life should show in our day-to-day. And so he was using the metaphor of the football game, right? And how, we come out ready to win, the crowd's roaring, and then the ball gets set right in the middle. And the ball gets kicked, and you have to start way back at the other end of the field. And usually, once in a while, a Hail Mary pass may win the game. Once in a while, that may be what causes the score. But that is not, Hail Mary is not going to be your game plan. That's not going to be successful. It's inch by inch, play by play. And when a play doesn't work, you don't just give up. You huddle, You get your team together, you get your plan together, you look at what's going on, you analyze the situation, and then you come at it a little differently. So this week I made a post that said, you're not your mother and your child's not you. And that actually came straight from my 15-year-old daughter's mouth. And it was awesome. Sometimes people think, how could you hear that as being awesome? Because it was so accurate. She wasn't saying it she wasn't trying to zing me. We were in relationship. We're just having this conversation. We were talking about school and how we together made the decision for her to do online school versus going to our local public school. So if you guys follow my Sunday post, you know that Marley is mobile by wheelchair. She was born with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. So she uses a wheelchair for her mobility. She has some other unique health needs. And it also has affected ways her brain functions. And so there are certain things that are much more difficult for her than it is for someone who doesn't have hydrocephalus. She has vision challenges. She has a shifted corpus callosum, which means her left brain and her right brain have difficulty communicating. She's also, she has a shunt that controls the spinal fluid, and so how it flows through her circulatory, from her brain down through her spine and back up. So when that has failed, it's caused her to have enlarged ventricles. So that's like repeated brain injuries, basically. The doctors don't say that, but I get that. I think about it. Stop and think about these things just a little bit. Slow down and just stop and think about your child just a little bit, and get inside their skin a little bit so you can kind of figure out what's going to be best for them. So I was raised with things like if you don't feel good enough to go to school, then you don't feel good enough to have your friends over, right? I mean, if you're too sick to go to school, you're too sick to do X, Y, Z. Okay, that all sounds good in theory, right? But I'm raising a child who has complex health needs. If every day that she doesn't feel good enough to go to school, she can't have her friends over, she's not going to have any social life. And it's hard enough to make friends when you're a child who's mobile by wheelchair. I mean, I'm just being realistic. Not trying to be, people get scared of things that they don't understand, or somebody they don't, when somebody's different, kids are kids. It's difficult. And so I had to make a decision. Was I going to parent my child based on the scripts and mentalities and ways of thinking that were handed down from me? Or did I need to look at my child as the person she is with the needs she has and figure out how to meet those needs? How to have the most joyful life we possibly can have, considering everything that needs to be considered. And so that's kind of the message I want to give you all today. One, justification. Just if. All the projection that we put on other people, if they would act better, then I would act better. Well, we need to take responsibility for that. We need to step out of justification, get back in alignment with the goals that we had. Know that in life, just like that football game, it's not going to be a Hail Mary pass. It's going to be one play at a time. And when we get set back and our play doesn't work, we don't go home. I'm not going to play anymore. We huddle up. We figure it out. We're going to do life together. You are your child's parents for the lifetime. And you want to create a collaboration by really looking at them, really getting inside their skin, and really thinking about what are their needs and how can I create, as a parent, as the mature adult in this family, how can I create a lifestyle that's going to help them succeed and accomplish what they need to accomplish, and also have joy. So that's it for today, folks. Carrie, it's good to see you. So thank you for speaking up. I see, it's interesting because I see it says live up here in the corner, and it shows a number of people who are watching, which is kind of cool. So then I don't feel like I'm just talking to myself. But when you actually say hi or thank you or make a comment, it'll pop up on the screen so I can say hi back. So, hey, Mimi, I see you watching. Mimi, she's a pro at this. I learned from her. I learned from watching her raise Elijah and realize that, a lot more happens when we just stay with the process of loving. And that doesn't mean we don't get frustrated. It doesn't mean we don't get scared. But I can tell you, her and I have had many, 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 many hard conversations about our babies. I talk to my parents. I talk to Brian's mom. Brian and I talk. We collaborate. We think about, what do our babies need? We're so scared. We get frustrated. But then I'm like, well, what are you going to do, Mimi? We're just going to love him, We're just going to love him. Stephen, you guys are superstars too. Thank you guys. Thanks for all that you do for your kids. Thanks for pouring love into them. Thank you for having the courage to consider a different way of doing this. And then for having the courage to put it into action. I love you guys. Much love. Have a great day.